All right, good morning. Home Team Morning Show, V94.9 WATV. V stands for Variety. How everybody doing? Hopefully everybody's doing good. We are here. We're live, local, and lit. You can go to our website, myv949.com. You can stream it there. Also, you can go to the app that we have right there in the Apple Store and the Google Play Store, V949. Check us out right there. And of course, we're on our Facebook page as well, or pages. So check us out. Federal officer, Officer Jackson. And she's going to be speaking on the behalf of herself and not the organization that she works for. But we're going to get some information, some details on how it is to be a federal officer, being a female and a black female at that. So we'll talk with her. You got me in the headphones, Dejanay?
I got you.
Bring that mic a little closer. There you go. Just want to make sure we get you clear and direct on this here radio. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing amazing.
Great. And first off and foremost, thank you for the donuts.
You're welcome.
You could have brought anything or nothing, and you decided to bring something.
That's right.
To the Home Team Morning Show. So thank you so much for that.
Because
you didn't have to do it. And you didn't have to be here this morning, but you have chosen to be here. Drika, our very own Eyelash Diva, was telling us about you, about how you went live and the things you were talking about. And folks wanted to know and listen and watch. And you got a lot of viewers on the aftermath. So just, tell us who you are, where you're from, and how long you've been in the service department as far as a police officer.
Okay. Everybody know me by Dejanay now, but
okay.
I am from Birmingham, born and raised.
Okay.
I've been in law enforcement for a total of 15 years now. So I started out with Jefferson County.
Okay.
9 years there, and 6 years with the federal government now.
Wow. You don't look that you should be in law enforcement that long.
That's a good thing.
You started when you were 12?
22. 22, so I just told my age, I guess.
You started when you were 12, DJ. But again, glad that you're here. So tell us, what's going on as far as, it's a lot going on as far as police officers, whether they're local, state, or even federal, right?
Correct,
I mean,
correct.
that's a huge bond that you guys and ladies share. Of course, you said you started out locally, so you've been through that fire, and you're going through your own fires now. So, what's your opinion and take on everything that's going on? Especially, you had you still having protests in Portland. They have not stopped in Portland.
Right.
Still a lot going on. I read yesterday that the prosecutor in Portland said they were not going to prosecute protesters as long as they do not do bodily harm to other people or damage property or any of that. They can protest, just don't be crazy with your protest.
Right.
Because I know some folk wanted them to be arrested on site just for protesting, because I guess people are tired of it in Portland. But what is your take on everything, or a lot of things that's going on in the policing department, I would say, as far as some people saying you need to defund this, some people saying you need to get rid of that. All officers, I know you told us a story about how we don't really commend our officers, but as soon as we see one, we always look back on the bad experience, right? So just talk about a little bit, and I'm just turning it over to you. You got the floor. Go ahead.
I bet she like, woo, Jesus, finally. No, you throw me in there, but I'm gonna flow with it. Well,
he gonna do that.
Well, in my opinion, the protesting is a form of I'm tired.
Right.
I'm tired. I've taken it as long as I can take it. I won't change right now.
Right.
It's just like, in terms of your heart being broke, you're gonna cry out, and that's people's way of crying out right now. It's just showing the frustration, the hurt, the pain, and people want, they want things done right, and for so long, black people, brown people have been done wrong for so long, and enough is enough, and it's showing throughout the world, not just throughout the United States. It's showing throughout the world, because if you think about it, after George Floyd, it's a lot of other cases and deaths came prior to him. But this one changed the world. This is the first time that I personally ever saw protesting around the world. So that tells you that not only black people are tired of the injustice, but The world is tired of it. So that's why you're seeing the I can't explain. Everybody handles things differently. That's why I tell people, a lot of people's like, don't protest or this, that, and the other. I said, but you don't know how an individual feel. And a lot of us, we can get hurt and we may, go sit in a corner and cry. Somebody else may get hurt and they may bust all the windows out of their own car or damage their own property because they're hurt and tired. So I'm not telling anyone to go bust and, damage property. But speaking on what I've seen, people are just tired. And they won't change right now.
Yep. So good morning to you, DJ. Appreciate them donuts, chocolate glaze too. That's my favorite. But how do you feel as being a Aboriginal female and being a police officer in the midst of all this? Because I'm sure, as an Aboriginal, you feel a lot of the pain that they feel too.
Absolutely.
How is that being an officer and actually got to be able to have to arrest someone or actually have to encounter them and have a conversation with it? How is that for you?
Well, first and foremost, I am a black female first. I am a strong black female at that. And then secondly, I am a law enforcement officer. So with that being said, I do feel the pain. I do because my traffic stop on July the 31st, that wasn't the first time that I've been profiled. I've been profiled as long as I have been in law enforcement, and that's sad. That's 15 years of being profiled. And with that being said, so when someone approached me about an instance that they've had with the police, or I feel like especially a lot of black men, they don't know that I know your pain too. I've had nice vehicles. I've always drove nice vehicles. So with that being said, I feel your pain. That's why I am where I am right now. It's personal for me. It's personal for me on many levels. I'm doing exactly what the Lord told me to do. And I have a promise to you all. I'm going to do his will. And I'm going to do everything that I possibly can for change to be now, not coming. I feel like we've been saying change is going to come for a long time. And we've been praying. But prayer, it's got to be some action behind it. And I feel like, that traffic stop on that day in my uniform happened for a reason. I'm glad, I'm thankful that I'm alive to talk about it, because it could have went a different way. But I know that it happened to me for a reason, because the Lord know that I'm going to stand for what's right. I'm not backing down. I know a lot of people say, hey, stay strong, sis, keep it going. And that's what I'm going to do.
Dejanay, could you kind of get into a little bit what happened on that track on that day? Like, what was going on? You said you was in your uniform?
I was in my uniform, but I'm gonna give you just a little backup real quick.
Okay.
So a lot of people that's not from Alabama understand. Due to the construction in Birmingham on the highway, I was taking the back roads to travel to Huntsville every day.
Okay.
And when I travel through Pinson and then through Kimberly, I was stopped one day. And that was a few months ago, and the officer, I was coming along the back road, and she ran the stop sign, and I almost hit her because she ran the stop sign.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and then I continued to travel, and then she approached me very fast and then threw a lights on. I said, she must have got a call or something. Well, I pulled over just before the school zone and everything, and she approached my vehicle, and she looked surprised seeing me in uniform, and then she kind of just stared at me for a minute, and she said, you was moving pretty fast. I said, no, ma'am. I said, you ran the stop sign. I almost hit you. And then she
That's
asked
what you said to
the officer. I told her, you ran the stop sign. I almost hit you.
Okay.
So she asked for my license, proof for insurance. I gave it to her. She stepped back behind the vehicle and consulted with her backup officer. And I saw him. He kind of threw his hand to her like, she did that to him as if she didn't want to hear what he had to say. Okay. She approached the vehicle back. Now, I'm telling you the reason why she initially said she stopped me. But when she approached my vehicle the second time, she said, well, you were speeding in a school zone. And she said, the flashing light was on. I said, well, take in mind, she stopped me at the flashing light. I said, ma'am, the flashing light is not on. The kids are in school. School has started for the day. And then she said, well, do you want your license back? I said, I sure do. And she handed them back to me, and I went on about my way. But that was a stop. 2 or 3 other times I come through Kimberly, and I was followed. I was followed for maybe a mile or so, and then they'll pull off and didn't stop me. And even after that first stop, I told my dad about it. I said, I'm going to complain, Dad. And he said, baby, it ain't going to do no good. So that's me coming through Kimberly. And I commute an hour and a half to work each day, one way. So
wow.
Right.
Tell you.
So being in that area.
One way.
Right, that's one way. So if I looked for homes in that area, but after I was stopped and I was followed on several occasions, I knew I was being profiled.
Right.
So I said, Lord, that's your sign of telling me do not move in that area. So on the day of the traffic stop, I was traveling like I always do to work. I was coming through Fultondale, Gardendale, and I got, right up in that Kimberly area. And I saw the officer that day, and I saw him the day before sitting up running radar. So I knew where they were. I do this 5 days a week.
Right.
So he's hanging out the window. He's running radar. We got my 2 front windows down, my gospel music going. If you would have noticed, that's what I was bumping when I came up this morning. Mm-hmm. And I saw him look at me, and I looked back at him, kind of pull this off the radar gun. And I'm sure in passing with my hair, he thought I was a guy. Okay. So I continued to travel, and I knew he was, once he looked at me, I knew he was going to stop me.
Okay.
I continued to travel. I see him come up. He placed his lights on, and he pulled me over. And when he pulled me over, he did something that I would never do. I have never done
as an officer. As an officer on Birmingham or anywhere else.
Nowhere. I would have never done, because we're not trained to approach a car like that in that manner. I mean, he literally pretty much jumped out his Tahoe, came up real fast.
What is the training then? What is the correct procedure versus what this gentleman officer did?
You want to watch the driver. You're getting out. You've got to be mindful of traffic, right? You have a lot of things going on. So you're watching for traffic. You're watching the driver. You want to scan the car to see if there's any passengers, because you got a lot of people with tinted things. So you're analyzing that car as you approach that vehicle.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And another thing you don't want to do is turn to the window and place your whole body in the car for me to shoot you. You don't really know who you're approaching. You know who that tag is registered to, but you don't know who you're approaching. You can have a person on the run for murder.
Right. So
you want to stand back at that door, and you want to kind of, lean your head over and speak that way, and have the vehicle as your protection. That's what you want. Everybody's trained that way.
Okay.
But that's not what he did that day.
Okay.
He approached my vehicle very quickly. He inserted pretty much his upper body into my truck. And see, he was doing that to smell for drugs.
Right.
Alcohol. That's what he was doing. But when he saw my uniform, it shocked him. He kind of jumped back. He kind of got quiet. Then he kind of, I said, what's the reason for the stop? Because I know I wasn't speeding. And he said, well, you were following too close. I had a surprised look on my face, because that area is, if you're familiar with Birmingham, once you get out of Gardendale, traffic thins out. It's a 3-lane road. It's thin. I mean,
super thin.
So I had a dazed, confused look on my face, and I said, look, and then he said, well, you following too close and you were on your phone. I said, no, sir, I wasn't on my phone. I said, I was listening to my praise and worship. I was not on my phone. Yes, you were. Yes, you were. I said, sir, no, I was not on my phone. Well, then by that time, he yells to the other officer. Oh, she works for the federal government. Oh, good for you. You got a federal job. And at that time, I was like, now see, petty. I see where this, right. He's intimidated. He's being petty now. I see where this is going. So the other officer approaches, and he tells me, I guess he commences to thinking he's going to chew me out, but I allow him to talk. And he told me, well, I understand that you may work for the federal government and you may know federal law, but here in the state of Alabama, following
he didn't do that, did he?
Yes, he did.
That sound like a off life or something.
I'm telling you what he said to me now.
I can believe.
He said here in Alabama, following too close, that's every 20 miles per every 10 miles per hour has to be 20 feet in between. That's what he explains to me, right?
He just hollering stuff now.
So now that's the law. It is that. That's what the law is.
I'm saying for him to be that
petty,
particular.
It gets better.
Because typically, I always thought when you're an officer, it's like, oh, hey, how you doing? Because you could be in a rush for something.
That's typically. So that's just the beginning. So as he completed his statement, I said, I understand. Sir, I said, because I know the law as well. I said, I was a deputy sheriff for 9 years, so I'm well aware of the law. And when I said that, oh man, it went it turned up some more, because then the other officer, he says to me, well, I've been doing this longer than you have.
So you just gonna smart off at the mouth, huh? You just gonna do what you want to do, DJ Nay.
Well, he tells me, well, let's be honest. What did any years of experience of him feeling like he's been doing this longer than I have has to do with anything in the moment, right?
Right.
You said you pulled me over for a reason. So by this time I told him, he said, oh yeah, I can feel a complaint coming on. So he said, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this camera on. Right now, after they antagonized me,
So now you want to turn it on.
Now you want to turn it on. Now, which is supposed to have been on when his lights went on.
Exactly. So officers have control of when to turn the camera on and off.
I cannot speak for all. Now, I've gone from state and local for 6 years, and I can speak how it was when I was there 6 years ago.
Okay.
Once you initiate those lights, that camera's supposed to come on.
Okay. Supposed to
come on. Now, I'm sure you can control it going off and coming on as well. Okay. So he had supposedly initiated his body camera at that time. So then I said to him, I said, sir, either you're going to give me a ticket or you're not. And he stormed off. I sure am. And that's fine. All right. The other officer then says, you just think you above the law. I said, no. I said, how do I think I'm above the law? I didn't ask you for a break. I didn't ask you for a favor. I simply said, either you all are going to give me a ticket or you're not, because what's not going to happen is we're not going to sit up here and go back and forth. So as the other officer went back and wrote my 2 tickets, his backup, 2 tickets.
It came up with something then.
So the other officer, he said, well, do you have a driver's license? And I said, of course I do. And I reached in my glove box.
You're a federal officer. Why wouldn't you have a driver's license?
I don't know. She just walking around here with an ID.
Right.
That's crazy.
So I handed my driver's license. And he looked at it, gave it back. Then he asked for my insurance. Well, do you have insurance? I said, I sure do. It's on my phone. And then at that time, I stopped and I said, I know you know that running my tag, all that comes up.
That comes up. I was about to ask that.
So he said, well, not out of state. I said, my tag is Alabama. So anyway, I give him my proof of insurance on my phone. Well, I need to see your registration of the vehicle as well. Okay. So I'm digging in my glove box and I'm looking for my registration, but all along he's coming at me. You just have an attitude. I said, attitude? I said, sir, do you know me? I said, you don't even know me well enough to know if I have an attitude or not. But he's coming. I said, sir, I'm not going to go back. I'm simply trying to give you everything you asked for. So they approach the other officer approaches my vehicle, gives me the 2 tickets, one for following too close and one for being on my phone. And he told me that if I wanted to complain, that I could go to the city hall. He directed me to there. So I immediately pulled I was already on the exit. So I pulled into a gas station and got myself together because I had a lot of emotions going on.
I'm sure.
I had frustration, hurt,
I got a lot going on now.
I had a lot going on. So I immediately called my supervisor. I informed her what was going on. And then I told her, I said, I'm going to complain right now. I said, because the way I was just done was wrong. And I went in, I spoke with the chief and told him everything that happened. And I told him what my concerns were. I said, now, sometimes I drive to work like this. And I said, this is the part of the whole traffic stop that I cannot stop thinking about. This bothers me the most. That had I drove to work that day like this, that I would have been shot and killed. And if I wouldn't have been killed, I'm sure I would have been in critical condition because of the attitude, because of the officer's demeanor, the way they approached my car, me having that other gun in my console, knowing that I don't reach for anything until an officer approaches my vehicle. That if I would have opened that gun, that armrest, and he saw my gun, and he would have, because of the way he was in my vehicle,
looking for something,
he would have yelled "gun, gun, gun" to that other officer, and I would have. It
have been on, and then it would have been a story in the news that the whole story did not come out, It didn't.
Or they would have probably covered it up because once they went through that glove box,
And so
and
much-
saw
Exactly.
her ID, the gun, and all of that, they would have.
Why
They
doesn't
probably
it-
wouldn't even release that part of
You
the
know,
fact that she was an officer.
The whole point when they saw the uniform, like I know it's not the movies, and I know the movies is entertainment, but anytime on the movie they show that badge,
It's like a brotherhood.
yeah, it's like okay, stick it right there, DJ. We got to take a quick break.
Okay.
She's not going anywhere. We got phone calls to get to. It's the Home Team Morning Show, y'all.
Honk your horn. Honk your horn one time.
It's time now for traffic from our V94.9 Traffic Center, presented by the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department.
We'll watch out for this major accident still to show up along 459 going southbound at 65. An injury crash involving a car and truck. Also, you're still pumping the brakes for along 2059 northbound for an accident clearing up at Arkadelphia Road. And then another stalled vehicle situation along Red.
When you say that, I want to follow up with making a comment if you had a head on just this. You get what I'm saying? So what about if that had been Benny? That's right. What about if that had been homie or me? Because I travel that way because I go to Huntsville to visit my best friend all the time. And I'm not going to lie. I be wide open. I put that car in sport mode and I be wide open. I'm talking about wide open. So just imagine if I'm on the way back and I had got pulled over. I don't have my gun in my armrest, but I always have it in my purse.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you'll never know I have it on me.
Right.
But what if?
Well, that brings things back into perspective because let me tell you what's going on. Because okay, good point. What if it was you? What if it was Benny? I had a little leeway in what I was saying because I was in uniform.
Right.
But let's take the whole perception from me. We're gonna put Benny in my situation, and we're gonna say that Benny was saying everything that I was saying.
That you were saying.
But it's the law, right?
Right.
That's when people get shot and killed because guess what officers do? They get caught up in their feelings, and I'm the police.
Emotion.
Yeah.
Emotions.
You're supposed to listen.
You're supposed to listen
I'm
to me,
grown.
and
I'm
that's
the
when
man.
you get snatched out the car and you get slung down.
That's just a joke. I just need you to read that for you. Because you know we on a whole nother friendship. Homie. They said, dude, my friend said, hold on.
But you know that's the way it is. I mean, think about it.
She's sad.
It's all emotional. That's
Do
I
she
always
work
say that.
anymore? Because all she do is interviews. What's her damn schedule? Ask her, do she still got a job?
I still got a job. I ain't getting paid. I got to go to work.
So you got to go to work.
I got to go to work.
Yeah, she took time out to be here this
Yeah.
morning, y'all.
Yeah.
Straight up.
No,
We coordinated this time.
Yeah, I mean,
She has a livelihood. Don't play.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a situation though, because I remember when I used to get pulled over all the time.
Yeah,
Now,
she
I
ever
admit,
work out at Planet Fitness in Roebuck?
Yep.
Yeah, she said, yeah, Robert.
yeah, see, now I admit now probably about 30% of that shit was my fault.
Okay.
But most of them was like, sir, this and that. Look, man, give me. Snatch
Yeah,
your shit.
right.
Then me, I'm like, hey man, goddamn, man.
Right.
I ain't no child.
That's right.
Next thing you know,
Then
It
it goes
escalates.
further.
It escalates.
It would've been
but it
pulled out.
escalated because he wasn't being professional. He shouldn't have done that,
Exactly.
and he's not respecting you as a man. And what white people don't understand is disrespect a black man if you want to. Disrespect one if you want to. See, even when I was on patrol and going to calls and things of that nature, you gotta respect a black man because black men have been done extra wrong. So you gotta-
Oh yeah.
it's a trip. It's a trip. And then the
You got a
key
good
part,
prevents for it.
most people don't really never believe. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's kind of, it's bad that you had to go through this, but it's good because see, now it's like, okay, so you don't believe
Yeah.
me either.
Right.
They don't believe me either. All these police officers lying about other
Right.
because they always make it seem like we just start shit
Making it up
and
making everything
shot
a
and-
racial thing. Right.
but a lot of times it is.
But it is a racial.
It
It
is.
is. But
That's a fact. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah, it's
It's
the
a
big
fact.
elephant in the room.
That's right.
This stuff has been going on for over 500 years,
That's
and now because on paper you say this thing is equal when it ain't never been equal.
Ain't never
We ain't been treated equal. You know what I'm saying? So because when I say, hey, what they say, when I say it hurt when you hit me, but I'm not supposed to feel the pain of you hitting me. And then when I complain or talk about it, you make me the bad person because I'm saying you hit me.
But what makes
you
it even
injured.
worse though is that when a lot of those
Stupid.
black officers they condone it.
Right.
Because I guess I ask this when we get back on out, but you know a lot of them situations nobody believes.
Why?
Nobody
Yeah.
believes, and you see it all the time.
you got that's one side. The other side is I believe, but because the position I'm in, I ain't finna say nothing mess me up. You got that side too.
See, but that goes back to what we was talking about with Ms. Harris, the VP candidate, when he was like, he's just playing politics. If an officer just playing politics and you know your partner out there doing that whole shit, are you just as guilty?
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the same.
But isn't that what happens with what they call the code blue?
Well, yeah, it do, but that thing.
And it ain't even just regulated to police officers, but I'm just saying anything that you're in, even my fraternity, a lot of or sororities.
Right.
You'll say I'm not gonna, maybe not to the extent of a code blue, but whatever organization you in, you ain't gonna really talk about
certain things.
I think it depends.
Even if you should and supposed to.
I think it depends on what you did and was I with it or not. If we robbed the bank together, hell, I ain't telling. You done sit there and kill somebody for nothing. I'm sitting in the car. I don't care if you hear my problem. I'm like, hey, my morning.
Hey, we didn't sign up for that.
No. In certain situations now, we done did something where you done ran into a pothole and the rim busted on the squad car. Nah, man, somebody ran us off the road.
Right.
Might do that, but as far as you
Ain't
kill
going
somebody
down.
or just totally abuse somebody, that's kind of rough, man.
Yeah.
As an officer, yeah. Yeah, that's a tough job.
Yeah.
Tough job.
Very tough, because you're gonna have one side of the community gonna be for you, and then you're gonna have somebody else to be like, man, y'all ain't and then it ain't a reflection of who you are, but because of what you are, it's projected on you to be the consensus, and you're like, no, that ain't me.
Right.
But because what you represent and whom
in that uniform,
that's what it is.
Somebody
you
could
said
have
it
a
before.
bad experience, let's say, in doggone California, with the police, and move out to Birmingham when they see the police. We know it ain't the same department. You're gonna remember that police.
I was watching a video of this dude that went to prison for robbing and stealing, and then he got into prison and got into the stock market.
Okay.
I can't remember his name, but he made a lot of people a lot of money off the stock market and himself. And he was being interviewed, and he said, man, he was being interviewed by Sway. And Sway asked him, like, dude, you are so articulate and da-da-da-da. Too bad you weren't thinking this way when you was like, man, look, when it came to the police in my neighborhood, we saw him twice. Either they was coming to pick somebody up to arrest them, or they was coming to pick somebody up to carry them to the morgue. That's the only time I knew police in the neighborhood.
Right.
That's it. So why the hell would I want to respect the police or even have? I didn't. He said when I saw that's what I saw, regardless of what you. Yes, because Sway was like, well, I'm from Oakland. They was from Oakland. He said, but that's what I saw in my neighborhood. They was either coming to pick a body up or they was taking somebody to jail. Period. He said, but in his mind as being a kid, he said, but the positive things I saw was the dudes in the cars with the money. With the ladies. That's why I went after. I didn't want to be no police officer because the whole thing about being a police officer is I saw you twice in the neighborhood. It was never good.
Yeah.
Here we go, y'all.
Comedic narrator Benny Mac and Drika the Eyelash Diva. The best variety of music turns up right now on the all-new V94.9 WATV.
All right, we're taking the world-famous Meet of the Matter extended. Officer Jackson is in the building, federal officer, and she's speaking on the behalf of herself and not the organization she works for. Let's get that out the way. She was telling us the story of when she was traveling to work, to be on duty, to serve our government and our people, and she got stopped. And you branched over into talking to the chief of what police department is this?
Warrior.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
Warrior.
Warrior. Okay.
It's probably about 3 of them. That's the chief and the 2 people that pulled over.
Yeah, son, like Sparta, Mississippi.
Right.
Chief, the son,
The son.
and the son-in-law.
And the son-in-law.
You better say that, son. Stepson.
So,
Yes.
Officer Jackson, without further ado, please tell us what happened when you met the chief, because you said you was gonna file it. You called your just catch folks up. You called your supervisor, tell her what was going on that morning as you was going to work, because you travel every morning. You said it's an hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
One way
To
go to work to Huntsville, and on the way you got pulled over.
Yeah. And I immediately went to the chief. the chief, he actually was in a meeting with the mayor, and he ended that meeting to meet with me, and we talked, and he stopped me right away, and he said, well, where was the courtesy? He said, I'm old school.
This is the chief of police.
This is the
their
chief,
boss.
their boss. He said, I'm old school. Where was the courtesy? But for me, it wasn't about the courtesy. It was about how it was being done and how it was done. And I know I was profiled. And we talked maybe 45 minutes, and then he expressed to me that they would be brought into the office. They would be talked to, and he shared with me that the officer that initiated the stop was a younger officer. He worked part-time with them and part-time somewhere else. But his backup officer was a veteran, and that his backup officer worked interdiction. And he also told me that he looked dazed and confused because he said, we don't write tickets. He said, we don't even ask our officers to even write tickets. But I received 2 in my uniform.
So he was going above and beyond.
For me, right. Right. I mean, this is the chief telling me this. You know, so he did tell me that the lieutenant that's in charge of formal complaints, and he told me, he said, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, but you also have the right to file a formal complaint. You can, a written complaint.
Here's a question.
Yes.
Leisha, Deanna, I am just wondering how many more civilians have filed formal complaints about the same officers that conducted this traffic stop. How many times have it been swept under the rug?
That's real.
Glad she came forward.
I appreciate that, because I have received, I'm going to get this very clear. I have received numerous text DMs, comments from federal officers, state and local officers, correction officers, and civilians. So to answer her question, I have received a message from several people traveling that same area being stopped. Okay, and I have proof. I'm screenshotting, because I'm gonna put everything in a file. See, because I'm telling you, I'm on a mission. Some things about to change.
What mission are you on, Dejanay?
I'm finna bridge that gap between the community and the police office. I'm not gonna tell you everything, but that gap is about to be. It's change is here. Okay, and because it has to stop. Nobody wants to talk about being profiled, and racism is the issue. That's the problem. Nobody wants to talk about it. And when there's a problem, and it's a problem, we can sit up in here all day and talk about it. Yeah. But there has to be solutions. And I feel like I have a really, really good solution to trying to contribute to fixing this problem that we're having in this country, because it's starting here, but it has escalated so far and beyond. But I feel like I've got something that can make a change to that. But back to her, I have proof that it's happened to more than other people. Okay. And I will say this. I've got a lot of white people that has messaged me as well, talking about how racist they are in that area.
I have a quick 2 questions. One, I have actually visited that area. I used to have a friend that stayed off that main road. Once you get off the exit, go across the viaduct and keep straight on around. Okay. I had a friend stayed off that main road, and I used to be so nervous traveling on that road. First of all, that road is dark, right? Very dark. At night, it is like pitch black.
No lights on the street.
Not a single one. You know what I'm saying? And so the fear of me being a black female and out by myself, I used to be terrified to go that route, to even have to get back on the interstate. So my thing is, a lot of times people, when you said that the chief said we don't even write tickets and he's just a part-time officer, a lot of times we don't realize when these people get in uniform that they may have been that person in school that was bullied.
That's correct.
Wasn't respected.
Yeah.
Never was heard. And now that I have a uniform, I can pretty much bring all of what I went through back onto someone else, because I have this uniform to suffice it. I can be this arrogant, pompous type person because my badge is what covers me. You know what I'm saying? Like if my chief, and I'm only like, here's the thing: when you part-time, people don't really pay you that much attention because you part-time, because you ain't even getting the full pay, you ain't even getting the benefits for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not even on the insurance, and this, that, and the third. But for somebody to say that the person who was with him was way above him should have known better. You get what I'm
And
saying?
done better.
And
Right.
done better. But you was adhering to what happened.
But you know what? It sounds like to me that person is the enabler.
Right. Because somebody had to give him the okay to say, you know what? Let me go ahead and just let him do what he do. Now, my part 2 to that is that you were saying that you had on the black shirt, which is the shirt similar to what you got on now.
No. That day I was in full uniform.
No. That's what I'm saying. Okay. I'm saying it like if you had on his black shirt.
Okay, the black shirt, yeah.
So imagine if that was Benny. Imagine if that was homie. Or my son. Because, my son is, 6'4"?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's an intimidating height in itself. Right. Especially to homie. He ain't but 5'1".
Had to throw in a petty short.
But you get what I'm saying. So when you say he pulled you over because the first thing he probably saw was your hair.
That's right.
When he approached you, let me tell you what intimidated him. Not only because you're black, and it didn't even have anything to do with your uniform. It's your style. It's how you stand. It's how you carry yourself.
Correct.
That's what intimidated him.
Right.
That's why he had to position himself to make himself feel stronger and in power and position. Because, I've heard you say it more than once because I watch every live. You've been on Petty Church, so I know when you say he came in and threw his whole body into your car. That's why. Because when he saw you from the side of your car, he was like, "Oh, this ain't no little person. I'm gonna have to show that I got the weight and the caliber to pull."
I haven't even thought about that.
So that's that self-esteem.
That's that self-esteem, and it goes back to his upbringing.
So Officer Jackson, what kind of car do you drive?
It's a 2007 Chevy Avalanche.
Avalanche, is it really nice looking?
It's very clean. Yeah,
Very
I
clean.
still get you good compliments on it. It's just
It's a truck.
And I asked that because I don't know where it went. This thing they are definitely commenting. Here it is. Joycelyn Biggs says, "I had a white cop ask me how I got the car I was driving."
Right.
And see that
What? That's happened to me before.
Right.
Like, how you get this? What you do? Well, none of your damn business.
That's the and it is.
I don't do what you doing.
See, that's one of those questions of trying to get to. Well, does she sell drugs?
Yeah.
Maybe there's drugs in the car.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the profiling.
Yeah.
Because you black, you can't have a nice vehicle.
Right.
You can't have a well-kept, clean vehicle. And let's be honest.
I like clean.
Yeah, me too.
Some people like dingy.
But Ms. Dejanay, I think that a lot of times I don't think they be intimidated. I think it's a privilege thing too. Well, I know I can do this to you, and nothing's gonna be done about it.
Right.
Because if that would have been vice versa, and you pulled over let's just say some federal cops, you were still with the county, and did the same thing, they probably would have had their superior call down and say, "Hey, man, look, we need a meeting immediately," and they would have made them apologize and got it straight.
That's probably why the chief said that, Benny.
I agree.
Because, see, a lot of them cats, man, to me, is all about privilege more so than intimidation. Because they know once they got you pulled over, they can do whatever they want to do if the sergeant or the captain sanctions.
Well, let me say this real quick. Another young lady that her story almost sounded exactly like mine, okay? And she told me she went to court. They dogged her out on the side of the road, did everything else. She went to court for her tickets to be dismissed. So I don't know now. I don't know if she did complain, and maybe if you complain, the tickets go away, or they're getting a kick out of treating you like crap. Write your tickets, do your bad, but then don't turn them in. So either way is wrong. Okay, but her outcome was she said she went to court and the tickets were gone. So back to what you were saying about the privilege part of it, that is true. If I know that my boss is not going to do anything, I know that I'm not going to get in trouble. That's why they were so cocky with me. But what they didn't
child.
Right. They didn't know. I probably didn't think. They probably thought she's finna go to Huntsville. She's not finna stop. She got to get to work. But I went straight to that department. And I'm pretty sure they did not know that stop right there was going to go viral either. So, it's just one of those things that it has to stop, though.
Officer Jackson, have you spoken to those two officers? Have they said, "Are we sorry, apologize"?
No, sir. No, sir. I did leave my name and number with the chief. The traffic stop was on the 31st, and I turned the formal written complaint in
July 31st or August?
July the 31st.
Okay.
And I turned the written complaint in the following Friday.
Okay.
So I turned it into the chief because the lieutenant wasn't there again, and he told me that they had corona going through the department. He didn't know how long it was going to take. But I'm not worried about that.
I sound like Charlie Brown, though. You know, when the grown-ups talk. Womp, 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 womp.
But when I tell you, that's the least of my concern. I ain't worried about that. I did what I was supposed to do.
Okay.
So, Dejanay, how much responsibility you think that fall on black officers to actually hold their white counterparts and black counterparts accountable for their actions? Because I know they got the blue code,
Right,
they got the code of blue, and hey, we're brotherhood or sisterhood. We aren't supposed to tell. But at what point do you say, hey, man, look, bro, that's wrong, and you got to turn your partner in? How often does that happen? If at I know it happens minimum, but how often does that happen? Because you got to remember, a lot of these police shootings and stuff that we see around the country, a lot of those black officers be with the white officers standing in the back like, oh, man, and won't step up.
Well,
George Floyd, that's perfect example.
Right. Well, I will say state and local is going to be different from federal. Okay. So I'll break it down, the two down. As far as state and local and a lot of officers, I will say, they are not stepping up because they can't. And I know you're probably thinking about, well, yes, they can. It's reasons why. As an officer, if you go and be considered a rat, you won't get back up. You go on that call or you come, I need officers, I'm fine. You won't get no help. So then that officer now is torn between speaking, not getting any backup, fearing for your life with his job, resigning, right? Or just turning a blind eye. And it's not right, but I have plans as to how to take that away and remove all of that right there. That's within my vision. Now, when you talk about on the federal level, you held to a whole nother level. You get caught lying if you want to. That's the difference in your job.
Right.
So there's a different level of accountability.
Definitely.
And that's a big word.
We're talking to Federal Officer Jackson, Officer Dejanay. She's hanging out with the Home Team Morning Show. Officer, now we've talked about a lot, but it's a lot that we haven't talked about.
Right.
Are you open to coming back and hanging out with us Saturday morning for our podcast?
Absolutely.
To talk some more?
Anything I can do to help.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to do.
We definitely want you to come back. We do it Saturday mornings at 9. It's called Unplugged.
Okay.
We'd love for you to come back. And you're definitely invited any time back, and definitely you can bring donuts anytime.
Okay. Y'all eat them up. I got to watch my figure.
Okay then. But she's here hanging out. Is you would like to put anything? Maybe somebody has heard your story and would like to complain and don't know how, or maybe scared. Is it a contact for you personally? Maybe your Facebook, anything.
What I've done is, because when I tell y'all my life changed and just like that, I've never been a Facebook Live person, but this thing went viral. But I do have a YouTube channel set up, okay? And in that, on my channel, there is a contact number there.
Okay.
And that number, the email there. That email is going to be strictly for speaking engagements, anybody that need help in anything, and if I can help them. So go there on my YouTube channel, and send an email. Any questions, concerns, or anything of that nature.
And you will get the email?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Ms. D. Well, this is my final question. Do you feel any fear of retaliation for you putting this story out? Because there's a lot of black and white officers that probably feel like, damn, why she got to go out there doing all that?
Exactly.
Do you feel fearful of it? Well, I got to ask you that question because you don't look scared.
All I got to say
I got to ask you know what I'm saying?
You're scared to ask the question.
All I got to say is I ain't never scared.
Okay.
Let me tell you, I've been doing this for a long time. I ain't never scared. And you know what? I still stop in Blunt and Coleman and get my gas.
There it is.
That's what's
You
up.
finna run me off? Come with it.
Yeah,
because I'm going to protect myself.
But that's a good way of looking at it, because a lot of officers, I'm sure, throughout the years saw stuff that they can't sleep well at night for, and fearful to even say something, and they just let it go.
And guess what? That's what I'm trying to change. But I'm only going to share that with somebody that can help me make that change. And I'm not talking about, I am talking about somebody big. But we're going to do this. It's going to happen. And I'm saying that with confidence, because we cannot continue this way. It's only going to get even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them use it as a vessel.
That's
Yes.
right.
I have something real quick. Won't take too long, and I'm gonna let you speak your truth on it. So Gary Gosha said, or Gosha maybe, I don't know how you pronounce it, maybe Gary Gosha or Gosha. He said, why not try to stop it before it happened to you, because you saying what you knew before? And my reply was, sometimes you have to have a test in order to have a testimony. The thing is, she could have said something, or, but, how can you explain something if you don't know how to approach it? And then how do you go, God puts you through certain things in order for you to be that testimony, or for you to be that spokesperson or that word. I would let you answer it in your own words. I wasn't defending you, but I really wasn't. I was just saying it from a real perspective. Like, that's just like somebody saying, Benny, why you ain't stand up for Drika? When homie cagged her the other day, you was just laughing. Like, you ain't never been cagged by homie, so you don't know how to approach him. So how would you address that?
Well, let me say this first.
I will cag you, Benny.
Bad on that.
I've been in a situation where I've checked a deputy before. I've done that. I've done that personally. To Gary, I've personally done that. I'm not the one that's gonna turn the blind eye. I backed him up on he was a rookie. I trained him maybe 1 or 2 times. He stopped a guy in a car full of guys in Centerpoint, and when I heard him say he had multiple occupants in the vehicle, of course I'm going for backup. But as I arrive at the traffic stop, he comes up to me and said, Jackson, I'm searching the car. I said, whoa. I said, did you ask for permission? No, he got a warrant. I said, well, wait, you said he got a warrant with Blount County. He said, yeah, we can search the car. I said, no, hold on. You can't do that. Now, if Blount County does not come get him, then you've got to ask for consent. Now, if Blount County does come get him, now you have to do an inventory search, which allows you to search the car. Now, I said, I'm telling you what the law is now. You can go over there and ask him, can you search the car? Because at that time, we didn't know if Blount was coming.
Okay.
Now, he said, well, I'm going to search it anyway. I turned around, walked back to my patrol car. I said, you on your own. Because that wasn't right. Okay? So that's to Gary. But what was the other part of Gary's question?
Hold on, let me go back to it.
You were saying basically you should say something.
Right, how could I have prevented it or stopped it? Well, Gary, I've been experiencing racial profiling in my vehicles for 15 years, and it's kind of sad. It's kind of like one of those things you just used to. But that day, it was enough, and it went way over. And I'm gonna say it like this: you may or may not believe in God, but that was God's will. That was God's plan, because he spoke to me now once but twice to go live and to share this story. And obviously, if it wasn't his will, it wouldn't have reached millions and millions of views.
Right.
And I wouldn't be getting the love and support and the words of encouragement and prayers like I am if it wasn't his will. So I try to tell him.
Is that God's voice?
Right. Now his voice ain't. Now when he speak to me, it ain't that deep. Now
God,
that?
On the line.
Oh, he said she talking to me.
What is that noise?
She said I still have a job. Oh yeah.
What is that noise? Oh, it's the headphones.
It's a staticky noise.
See, now, it could be the jack itself.
That would
It's been
sound
going
Yeah.
like
pull
it
it
up.
out.
Let me see.
Yeah, I still hear it. I got my what's the name in, so I can still hear it.
Okay. I forget you had that on.
Well, I
Somebody
had it on
just said
for
clear.
Jalen.
Somebody
Clear.
said now.
Yeah, that might be the
So
jack
can
itself.
y'all hear now? Oh yeah, that's because it ain't plugged in no more.
Yeah, I unplugged it when the song came
So
on.
yeah, it's that
That might be the
iRig.
jack itself.
Yeah.
Not the iRig, the jack, because I know sometimes that one will come loose.
Wendy's, I'm sorry if I messed your name up, but basically she said, it touched me and I was upset listening to your video. I'm continuing to pray for your sake.
Thank you.
So
Stay focused, stay positive, stay safe, and stay prayed up.
we gotta get pictures with you, and
Okay.
then we gonna have to cut that off because we can pre-record the podcast.
Yeah.
Where he
We'll
come
cut
out
it.
to me,
You did them, tell them.
No, they can't see my mouth. You know, 'cause
Nah, cool. They don't hear you.
yeah, they can't hear me. So yeah.
Boy. Woo!
Yeah, man.
Nah, y'all
Tisha
smile.
and they brought snacks.
Mm.
Snacks.
Big shouts out to y'all
Let me
for
show
checking
y'all
us
the
out on
snacks.
the live. This what Dejanay brought us.
Show them the snacks. Ain't nothing in there.
It is.
Snacks. I bet they heard that voice.
Oh, I'm ready real quick. Home Team Morning Show, download the app, V94.9. It's right there in your Google Play Store and Apple Store.
What time you told me you gonna be at work?
I just don't want to be late, baby. We won't do that.
Well, we knew that.
So, I get there when I get there. They know I ain't gonna break my neck to try to kill myself getting there.
Yeah,
They know that.
I get it to you. You better than me. Because, see, law enforcement, I never knock a person being in because I got several friends, constituents, and all that in it. But it'll be hard for me to accept y'all knowing what I know at this age.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, you started at 22. It'll be hard for me to do that, knowing that it's BS. But at the same time, I want to join because it's BS, because if you're not on the inside, it's a catch-22. Because I can understand why people do not like law enforcement. Even though it ain't all, but just think about this analogy here. If every time you got to fight, you got whooped by somebody with these headphones on, then you got to fight with 100 folks and they always attack you. One cat with the same headphones come in and say, I want to help you. You ain't gonna believe them.
Yeah, because that's what you gonna remember.
Yeah, it's become accustomed to them mistreating us.
Right.
And a lot of black officers do not speak up.
Right.
And they know it's wrong. But you know, cause don't get me wrong, I think everybody love their job, but I still believe that everything is just not absolute.
But you
It's
said a
right
big
and wrong.
word during the show, accountability.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about.
Accountability, and like I said, I got a game plan in my mind how to get all that down, break them bad walls and bad practices and stuff like that down, and trying to make things better. So.
I done been to Warriors so much within the past 6 years and never seen a police officer.
And guess what? They butt was up there prior to my stop, and that on my stop day, I ain't seen them since. They ain't been up there.
I ain't
That's
never
why you
seen
said
one.
it was meant to happen the way it happened.
I haven't seen them since.
Now to be a disservice if you didn't do nothing about it. Because I believe definitely in divine intervention and how these situations merge.
Right.
If you
And
don't
then the
say
time.
nothing,
And then the
you're
time.
doing
Like,
a
let's
disservice.
just say George Floyd didn't lose his life, and we just said a year ago.
Look,
This wouldn't have been as effective now, then. You know, everything happens, and that's good, man. That's good.
That's good for you too.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't know what they know.
That's the most for
Yeah.
today.
Y'all know.
Yeah.
We started here though,
Off top.
and then that's where we.
What you screen shake?
Yeah, I screenshot so I can do it like.
Yeah, that's what happened though. The way I'm built now, with what they call all this nigga shit, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah. We was the difference. Like my dad say, you dealing with a whole other generation, you know. And that's why it's getting worse. Because you back then you getting stopped. You talking about a generation of folks that's so respectful, even if they're getting done wrong.
Oh, she get to sit in on.
But now you dealing with a different generation. You doing wrong. Wait, who you think you talking to?
Yeah, and
that's my things. And that.
All right, good morning. Home Team Morning Show, V94.9 WATB. V stands for Variety. How everybody doing? Hopefully everybody's doing good.